With only half of New York City's public school children graduating, it is a constant battle to find a way to improve education. Well, one school uses some novel approaches that may surprise you.
CBS's Vladimir Duthiers shows us how the school made a big difference for one young man.
Paris Sheridan is a 17-year-old senior at the Eagle Academy for Young Men in the Bronx. At this senior convocation, he was chosen to speak not as class president, not as valedictorian, but as a young man who's conquered many of the struggles facing the boys in his school.
I was heading down the same vicious cycle that so many of today's urban youth get caught up in. A path that only has two potential outcomes, either prison or death.
Before I came to Eagle Academy, it was constant fights, getting arrested.
Paris, the oldest of 6, lives in a violent and crime-ridden neighborhood in the North Bronx. Like 67% of black children in America, Paris has grown up in a single-parent home. Adding to his problems is the fact that both his parents were incarcerated on drug charges when he was 9.
I had many nights that I cried, like blaming myself.
His mother, Mercedes Smith, admits it hasn't been easy for him.
We're not that far from the projects where it's always shootouts. Even on this block, the back block, shootouts, a lot of fights, a lot of gangs. They wanted him to join gangs.
When his mother learned about a public school in the neighborhood geared specifically to boys of color, she urged Paris to apply. Paris was one of the lucky 100 to be accepted in his grade. But it didn't stop local gangs trying to recruit him. He says the biggest turning point in his life came when a teacher here went the extra mile to help him. Ms. Macklin was his 9th grade teacher.
One day in my class, he said to me, he feels like he wants to commit suicide. And, sorry. And I talked to him about why he wanted to commit suicide, and he just said that he was going to die anyways. He was going to get killed on the street.
So that equals the 136.
From that day on, Ms. Macklin has been Paris's advocate, providing counseling and support.
That was the first time a teacher ever went above and beyond to help me.
We help young men to understand what it takes to get the light to go on, for them to believe in themselves.
We are the ones we've been waiting for.
They do that by providing the structure and discipline many of these boys never had. Students must wear uniforms. Each boy gets paired with a mentor from the community. School days are longer to avoid idle time on the streets. And the kicker?
Be able to come to a place where they don't have to worry about competing for girls or getting dressed up for girls, and they can just be very focused on their schoolwork.
Eagle has brought an astounding number of students across the finish line. The average number of black and Latino boys to graduate high school in New York City is about 50%. It's 78% at Eagle Academy, with 100% getting accepted into college.
People don't see the greatness that lies within boys of color. They're boys, they're kids, just like any other kid in America. And with the right direction, they can soar.
Now I am here. I made it.
Paris will be the first in his family to attend college.
And Eagle Academy in the Bronx is part of a system of 6 public schools strategically placed in high-crime areas in all 5 boroughs and in Newark as well. And I've had the pleasure of meeting David Banks, the founder behind this whole thing. They have 100% parent participation at, what do you call it, PTA meetings. You know why? Because he has them on Saturday. As opposed to during the week.
Right?
Whenever, during the week, people work.
Exactly.
And
so some
childcare.
people can't get there,
and
but
they have classes. It's an amazing opportunity.